What is something you did when you were younger that you are still facing the consequences of?
Not taking care of my teeth and not learning how to budget. Now I am broke with frick teeth.
Dental hygiene.
Ran my credit into the ground because I was so sure I was going to kill myself by the time I was 22, so why not?
Chose a low-pay, high-stress career.
Flew off a waterslide while goofing off. Landed on concrete. Left hip still hurts to sleep on 20-ish years later. It took at least 10 years before I told my mom what happened.
I listen to music way too freaking loudly. I'm 37 and I absolutely need hearing aids. I'm not deaf, but if there is even slight background noise, everything sounds incredibly muffled. Sometimes I have to ask people to repeat themselves 3 to 4 times.
I had a treehouse that was about 10 feet off the ground and I would regularly jump out of it. Being an idiot, I wouldn't brace myself when I landed because I thought I looked cooler doing it that way. Just straight up land on my feet without so much as bending my knees. Well, guess who's got crap knees before they've hit 30?
I started working on a farm when I was 16, worked there for nearly 10 years. The way we sort of crouched over to pick herbs for 6 to 12 hours a day fricked up my spine. I have trouble standing for more than 10 minutes now. I also now understand why my grandmother, who worked on farms for more than 50 years, pops painkillers like candy.
Loud concerts, no earplugs.
Overspending. Got a credit card as soon as I turned 18. It had a limit of £5,000 and I was not financially responsible. Cut a long story short, more credit cards, horrible cycle of debt, had to dig myself out of it. I got out of debt at 32, lived paycheck to paycheck for a while. I'm 37 now and this year is first year of my life I have savings. If anyone out there has crippling debt, don't feel hopeless, there's always a way out, even if it takes years. You can do it.
Gave my legs for a stranger's life during a 16-car pileup. 8 years and 17 surgeries later, I can kinda walk again. My life is in complete shambles. I've gained 100 pounds. And I lost my career, a really freaking good one.
Not having a good posture.
Blew my credit. Still fixing that one. Nice job, me.
I sprained my ankle on a treadmill when I was 13 and I was too stubborn to let it heal properly. So now, nearly 15 years later, I can't walk until like 10 in the morning a couple times a month because my ankle is still a wee bit fricked.
Not stand up for myself enough. Catching up and learning it as an adult is embarrassing at times.
Not fully learning English until now. It's pretty hard ATM.
Arrested for weed possession in 1996. Denied entry to Canada in 2018.
I was working 40 hours a week while still in high school. After 6 months of non-stop work, I fell asleep behind the wheel and I lost my leg.
I never studied. I didn't need to from elementary to high school. It was pretty easy for me, so I never studied. Now, I'm in college, and I am facing the consequences of that. I have no idea how to study effectively, and it's reflecting in my test scores.
Not telling the truth of why I was depressed and how depressed I was.
I got into the car of a couple that saw me walking home from school and offered me a ride home. Instead of driving me home, they took me to their house where they beat me, for putting up a fight when they were about to assault me, and raped me. I'm still struggling alone mentally and don't trust anybody.
Not making it a point to work on my social skills. I was a bit of a loner in school, really shy. Now I struggle to make conversation with coworkers without feeling immense levels of anxiety. Worry that without this skill I'll never really get ahead.
Not getting enough work experience for my degree.
When my parents separated while I was in high school, I moved out. I was 14, my sister was 15, and my brother was 12. Drugs, fighting, etc. I couldn't handle it anymore, but my siblings never moved out. A few years later, Mom's back, everyone's at home, it's a happy family with no room for me. Edit. Thanks for being so kind. I'm 19 now, I moved in with my grandparents, and I still live with them. Concerning the no room for me, I literally mean no room for me lol. They live in a trailer and there's no space, but I visit every week.
Spent way too much time alone as a kid playing video games instead of socializing with friends. My social skills were stunted for many years, which made things much harder than they needed to be.
Listening to my music on full blast. I'm 23 and I've lost nearly 40% of my total hearing.
Never admitting an injury.
Student loans.
I had a bad habit of biting my nails and not washing my hands when I was about 10 years old. I got pinworms twice and to this day whenever my ass itches I have a moment of panic.
After finishing college, I stopped playing sports. I've always been a bit on the stockier side, but through high school and college I was very active in several team sports, soccer, volleyball, floor hockey, so I had a lot of muscle on me too. I didn't do any kind of exercise, beyond just moving around for work plus walking my dog twice a day, for 12 long years. I grew fat, unhealthy, and in poor shape. I've been trying to work on that, but even when I could go to the gym I would be exhausted after 30 minutes of light exercise. I have hopes that I can at least be healthy, as I work to build up my endurance and tolerance for longer workouts, but I doubt I'll ever be in the shape I was when I was in my teens, early 20s. And it's entirely my fault too. I got lazy and I'll be paying for it for the rest of my life.
Smoking.
Gaining weight. I'm getting older and it's harder now to lose it. And my joints will be fricked if I don't.
Bad grades because of laziness.
Drugs.
Avoiding socializing, not fixing social anxiety. Being huge source of strife in career and personal life.
I suppose this is something I technically didn't do, but I never picked a career path. So now I've got a CV the length of my arm from various jobs and education that span over 3 countries, 18 years and with little to no recent experience, due to taking care of my son and helping my ex-husband through education for his career path. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Being super picky as a kid and still having to break the habit of avoiding certain foods because I don't like them, but honestly haven't even tried them.
Got into drugs and alcohol too young. I believe it gave me all my mental issues and stunted my development. I think this is super common, even with just weed, but people are still in denial.
Starved myself since I was about 12 because I wanted to be super thin, which absolutely destroyed my metabolism. Ironic.
Sorry to say it, but tattoo regret. I hate them every time I see them.
I asked my mother if I could get tested for ADHD as I had looked up the symptoms and noticed that I checked a lot of the boxes. She said, "Ha ha ha honey, you don't have that." And I was like, she is probably right, and I never brought it up again. If I had pushed a little harder and explained the symptoms I had, maybe I wouldn't be suffering the consequences of going through high school with 2 undiagnosed learning disabilities, which have led to anxiety, depression, and a general, non-wavering feeling of existential worthlessness. Smiley face.
I was taken from my mom at age 10 and put into foster care. After a while social services found my dad, who left right after I was born and who I had never met. Eventually I was asked who I wanted to live with, my dad or my mom. I said my dad, because I had always wanted one and being torn from my mom basically severed our bond through trauma. It turns out he and my stepmom were abusers and I was abused for 6 years before I ran away. Still haunts me to think who I would have been had I chosen my mom. Now I'm estranged from them all.
From age approximately 16 to age 23 or so I was on the Depot Provera shot for birth control. None of my doctors ever brought up that I should only be on it for a few years at a time because of some side effects like bone loss. I have broken bones, in shockingly dumb ways, that are then leading to what I suspect will be lifelong issues. I had surgery on my wrist after fracturing it in late 2019 and experience pretty frequent pain when I move my wrist or hand just slightly wrong.
Internet addiction.
Accidentally touching a girl's bum when I was 16. Her boyfriend decided to headbutt me for it, leading to breaking my nose. I am 36 now and am still suffering on a daily basis of the messed up pipework up there. My nose holes are closed up still. That's probably not the right word.
Loved the wrong person. Eating habits. Exercise habits.
Going to a very expensive out-of-state college just to spite my parents and get away from them. My dad was offering me a $40 an hour part-time job, and a place to live for free to pay for my college. Instead I said, "You don't want me to live my life the way I want to, then frick off." I went to a college 2,000 miles away and took out a $140,000 student loan.
Not addressing my eating disorder, pica. Ruined my teeth and had to get veneers and crowns to cover my broken teeth. It makes me upset that I can't bite into anything with my front teeth. At least, now I don't have an iron or calcium deficiency.
Playing tag in the house. I was like 5, maybe 6 or 7, I'm 40 now for reference, and Cash NG my cousin up the stairs full throttle in our house when someone swung open a door and I ran head first into the edge of the door so hard and fast I was instantly out and don't remember much after that except what my mother has told me. They thought I had severe brain damage from the amount of force my forehead kissed the door with. I woke up 13 hours later and have memory problems, I can't remember a lot of my childhood, problem remembering other things, and a visible scar that's never gone away and a permanent indent in my skull from it. Apparently it was really bad. I joked about it one time until my mom gave me the mom look and said, "It's not funny. You were bleeding from your mouth, ears, eyes and nose and soaked 5 towels." Thank God I lived in Canada or the constant blood transfusions and hospital stay would have made me want severe brain damage. So yay, memory problems from being a dumb kid. ETA, here is the scar for anyone that wants to see it. The indent in my skull is the full length of the scar.
Lol, trying to kill myself. Swallowed a bunch of pills, and now I have respiratory problems. If I have a panic attack, it could potentially put me into a coma or do some serious damage anyways, so I'm being treated like Stanley from The Office after he had his heart attack.
I couldn't stop lying about things I had done because I was so worried people would lose interest in me if I didn't seem super interesting, until I lost track of my lies and couldn't stop. I ended up burning bridges with a lot of awesome people that I may have been great friends with, who we shared so many commonalities, awesome personalities, people I genuinely liked. I literally have no friends now and have trouble even being able to hold conversations with anyone anymore. I did it to myself, and I regret it so much that I have dreams about things turning out differently all the time. It sucks, and if I could go back in time, I'd grab younger me's tongue immediately and tell me people like me and wanted to be my friend, even if I felt like I was boring or not pretty enough. I'm glad I said this, finally. I had to say it somewhere. It's been driving me crazy, when it finally hit me how deep and insane it had gone.
I don't need to learn programming. I was wrong.
My parents were never really that involved from ages 8 and up, so I resorted to hours of being on the computer as a kid. Now as an adult I find myself just sitting on my phone every day all day.
I kissed my best friend. There had always been something simmering between us. It was the last month of our senior year in high school, and the stars aligned. The girl I had dated through high school had decided we needed a break. My friend and I were out with a group of our friends, and things just clicked. We kissed, and it was very much a mutual thing. A couple decades down the road, and I still think of that moment as one of the few perfect moments that you get in life. Note before moving forward, I never got in any legal trouble from what came next. The next day, a buddy of mine came and told me that best friend was telling everyone who would listen that I raped her. Have you ever felt your heart hit the sole of your shoes? I have. By the end of the month, the court of public opinion had ruled. No one in the school would speak to me. Friends I'd had since kindergarten wouldn't look at me. I was questioned by the school resource officer and the principal. Of the group that we were out with that night, some of them had to have spoke up for me, but none of them would have anything to do with me. My entire support group was yanked out from under me. I left high school depressed and overly cautious about every social interaction as a result. The ex-girlfriend and I mended fences and ended up back together. That should never have happened, but I was alone in a new city, depressed as hell, and she was the life preserver that bobbed into view. 6 months later, she was hit with life-changing health issues. I stuck it out, right up until she left me for someone else. That kicked me into a tailspin of depression, drugs, and alcohol. I failed out of college, moved back home, and found a crappy job. I met a woman shortly after moving home. We really hit it off, and we ended up married within a few months. I was grabbing at anything to keep afloat, and she was there. Bad mistake. She was severely mentally ill, but it didn't show until a year after we were married. I was raised to stand by your choices, so I stood. More life-changing health issues occurred. Fast forward, approaching my 40s, and I'm stuck in a loveless marriage with a dependent, mentally ill, housebound wife. I live near my hometown, and still see people regularly who will turn their head and actively avoid me because of what happened. I have issues forming close relationships, and as such, only have acquaintances, not really friends. I will never have children, and I very likely will never be able to retire. If you stuck it out this far, thanks. Understand, I do take responsibility for every choice and action that I took to arrive here. I don't blame best friend for my life. This is on me. However, I can point at that kiss and the fallout from it as the point that my life turned down this route. Even now, I wouldn't change it. That was the last moment I was truly happy.
I was coerced into sexual activity in the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade. I'm still suffering from the trauma. I said no twice, but in the end I did it. I'm still dealing with the aftermath, many years later.
Gave up on everything when I was in college. Stopped going to school, slacked at work, did nothing in my free time. I was living a day at a time with no plans for the future because I had no hope that life would get better. Now I'm here looking back at how things could have been different if I had a different mindset back then. These days I'm doing my best to do the things I should have done then, so the next time I reflect on the past 10 years I can feel pride instead of shame.
Effing up my credit. These bad remarks last a long time.
Dislocated both kneecaps 10 months apart. Knees will pop out in every now and then, which hurts like a son of a bitch.
I feel like a better question would be, what am I not suffering the consequences of, at this point? It's not a list, it's a frickin' dictionary.
Got into a bad situation with car finance and credit card debt. Was in an unhealthy relationship and it manifested through spending. Luckily one of my family members bailed me out and allowed me to pay them back. saving me thousands in interest and several years of my life back. I'm with someone really great now, who has helped me budget, and I'm doing much better. We'll be debt-free by September. Total debt was $39,000. Shout out to our personal finance for all the great tips.
Used to stay up all night and watch TV with my dad circa 4 years old. Now I'm 28 and having extreme difficulties in life because I'm not able to stay on any kind of sleep schedule. Literally, probably getting fired in T-10 hours, but I don't even know if I'll be conscious for it.
Not saving money from my teen jobs. I always felt my money was fun money, so I never learned to budget or save, as I spent my money as quickly as I earned it. I am working on it now as an adult, but obviously with adult responsibilities, bills, and unexpected expenses it became more challenging than teen me thought to dig myself out of the financial hole. Teach your kids about finances. At 21 I didn't have any idea how credit cards or credit worked, thought that credit card balances just reset every month to zero. I couldn't fathom how else people could rack up $30,000+ in credit card debt. I was pretty screwed when I maxed out my first credit card and then couldn't use it again the next month without paying the balance.
Art College. TL, DR, don't. You only need 2 things for a successful career in games development: a killer portfolio and networking contacts. Both can be developed online. No development company gives a crap what your education background looks like if you can match their production style.
Married the wrong one.
Dead and drinking.
Long distance running destroyed my knees. I'm in my early 20s looking at a total knee replacement surgery.
Getting addicted to pornography. 1 year sober.
Once a teacher told me to not yawn in public. I looked at her and said, "This is a private school." No has ever let me live that down.
I dated someone who was extremely emotionally and psychologically abusive, and 15 years later I still struggle to trust that an intimate relationship can be healthy and safe. I knew it was a bad idea going into it. My gut was clearly warning me. But this person was so magnetic, so attractive, and I was so inexperienced that I went for it anyway. As I am a male and the abusive person was female, I don't get a lot of understanding about this from others. How could a woman abuse a man and have it really be that bad? If I could go back and change it, I don't know if I would, because I feel I needed this lesson. Anyway, it's something I think about a lot and hope I can someday heal from. I'm definitely working on it in therapy.
A pretty dark one, but self-harm.
Going to get help for my mental health. I wanted to be a FBI agent, but now I can't own a gun because I decided to go to the for wanting to off myself. They sent me to a mental hospital for 10 days. Now I'm depressed and have no clue what to do with my life. I thought I was suicidal before. Now I just wish everything would kill me. I hate living. I have absolutely nothing going for me, and it's been almost 2 years since I got out of the psych ward.
Not taking choosing a college major seriously. I started college in 2012 and changed my major 5 times. I get so mad when I think about how much better my life would be right now if I'd picked the right major from the start and graduated on time.
Smoking COPD.
I got suspended for what had to be like the 4th time that school year, and my dad took everything away from me. Even my name. For a month I couldn't have anything in my room but my book bag and my bed, and that I wouldn't be Brandy, I would be Can't Get Right. I'm 37 years old and they are still calling me Can't Get Right.
Asking out my crush. We dated for like 2 weeks, then my parents found out. They called me names such as dumb, idiot, crazy. Told me I was too young to know what love is. They forced me to break up with her. When school started again, I didn't know what to say to her, so I hoped she would say something first to me. That didn't happen, and we haven't spoken since the text I sent her saying we were breaking up. I was afraid to like a girl all of high school, and now I'm an adult who can barely talk to girls and everyone thinks I'm gay.